My name is Tom, and this is Bud Sweet. We're both members of the Lake Murray Sailing Club. And the purpose of this video is to help our slip holders understand how better to tie up their boat to the Lake Murray slips. The reason for this video and this instruction is this tie-up system will help protect your boat in a high chop or in the infrequent storms that we have here on Lake Murray. But knowing how to tie up your boat to the slip properly will help protect your boat and help protect the slip.
We're going to discuss a mooring system, and what we wanted to start off with is the benefits of this system versus maybe some others. Second thing we're going to talk about is the boat placement. Actually, there are some choices here, and so we want to talk about how you place your boat, and then come up with the general configuration of the 5-line mooring system. Then we'll talk about the line type and the sizes for recommended for each boat. There are 5 lines in this mooring system, and we'll talk about how to install each line in the system. And then we'll have a few comments on the overall appearance of the system and address some special situations that the end boats out on the end fingers might have. The mooring system that we're going to be talking about, I believe, has 5 or 6 good benefits. First of all, it uses permanent dock lines that stay with the dock. So when you leave the dock with your boat to go cruising, you need to have other dock lines, like if you're going to tie up at dockside for lunch, these won't be the lines. These are permanent lines that stay on the dock. The system is easy to use. There's loops on the boat and cleat hitches on the dock. So the lines are secure to the dock, and you just have to undo, there's 5 lines, so it could be as many as 5 loops, but probably less. This system will protect the boat in 50+ mile-an-hour winds with proper orientation of the boat. The Lake Murray docks can get strong winds, of course, from any direction. But the most damaging come from the north or the northeast, because they combine the wind effect with the waves. And the waves about double the impact, maybe more, and really cause the issues. So this is designed for waves and wind of 50+ miles an hour. The system does not use fenders, although fenders could be used attached to the dock, but they wouldn't be helping the boat during a storm. So this system can be used without any fenders, actually. It uses only 5 lines, again, loops on the boat and cleat hitches on the dock. And when it has a neat appearance. There's no a lot of extra line. The cleats on the dock are not used for line storage. They're used for a simple cleat hitch, and the excess line is basically cut off. So there's not a lot of line on the dock extra. There's no coils on the dock, and there's no fenders hanging over. So those are the basic benefits of this system. The boat location on the dock can either be one of 2 ways. It can be the bow in, and this diagram shows one bow in, or it can be stern in. But the overall consideration is we want the bow of the boat facing north or northeast. That's because the wind from that direction has the most waves and is the most damaging. And if the bow is facing into the wind and into the waves, it'll be less stress on the mooring lines and on the dock. Now, having the boat, the stern in, has some benefits, and one of them is easier access to the cockpit, so that after a little practice, getting your boat stern in, you may prefer it. But the overall consideration is facing the boat north or northeast. So on one side of the dock, stern in, and on the other side of the dock, all the boats may be bow in. What we have with our system is 5 mooring lines, and on the diagram there we have the one we're going to talk about. The lines are shown in red. They're attached to 3 locations on the boat and 3 locations on the boat, yes, and 3 cleats on the dock. We use loops as we attach them to the boat, and cleat hitches to the cleats on the dock. One of the, if you notice here, we're using a cleat that normally belongs to the neighbor. What we've done is we've used his cleat and he uses our cleat. This gives us a better pull on those, to pull the boat away from the dock and to keep it safer. What we have here is, in the 5 lines, is we have a bow and a stern line. Here's the bow and the stern. And I'm going to call the other 3 lines spring lines. So we've got the 5 lines, 3 locations on the dock, and 3 locations on the boat. What we want to show here is 3 things: 2 loops and a cleat hitch. What I have on this 3/8 3-strand nylon line is I've tied a bowline loop, pretty good sized loop. This would be a good sized loop if you were going to go around my hand being the winch. Just go around that way, and there's no way the line can come off. Yet there's no chafing. It's a good attachment. Also, this loop could be attached to a cleat like this, and again, there's really no way it's going to get off, and there's very little chance of chafing. However, if you had a couple loops around the cleat like this, it might use up the space on the cleat. So sometimes it may be preferable to use a little bit smaller loop. This is a loop for this cleat size, and it can fit on, but it doesn't come off very easily because of its size. We'll go over 1 horn. And this is an overhand loop where we might be coming in from one part of the dock and going to another part of the dock, and so we just have 1 loop for 2 lines. If we're on the dock, the kind of cleat hitch we're looking for is 1 complete loop around, and then that tied tightly. If there's any excess line here, cut it off, and if you want to, you can actually use some tape and tape the loose end to the standing line so no one would come by and want to undo it.
All right, we're down here on B Dock, the Lake Murray Sailing Club, at my Cal 31 to show some practical examples of how to tie up the boat based on the diagrams that we talked about earlier in the video. I want to start here at the stern of the boat and first point out that I turned the boat around and pointed the bow out into the business end of the cove for the reason of having the boat being able to avoid and handle chop and high winds when we get thunderstorms here on the lake. I want to start here at the stern cleat on the starboard side. You secured that with some half-inch line, some half-inch non-stretch line. And then we were able to use a continuous line from the starboard winch going forward to the cleat forward on the slip, and then over to the starboard side bow cleat. This line keeps the boat from moving sternward into the dock. This stern line keeps the boat from moving away from the dock when winds are coming from the southeast and blowing into the other boat. Now we're off the port side of the boat, still here on B dock. I want to point out the stern line on the port quarter of the boat from this cleat over to the cleat on the dock. This obviously keeps the boat from moving towards the dock when winds are coming out of the north. And then most importantly, this springer line going from the port bow cleat back to the dock will keep the bow from moving over towards the dock. With this particular rig, we're able to keep the boat suspended in the slip away from my neighboring boat and away from the dock, eliminating the use of bumpers and anything else like that. So this is the rig. This is what we'd like all of our slip owners to do, is to rig their boat similarly. Again, preventing damage to your boat, helping prevent damage to your boat, helping prevent damage to our docks. Thank you.